would you like to go first, my dear, as you seem to be chomping at the bit?
So that's another problem. That's another major problem in the marriage. Because usually now that it's more in technology, uh, it's always been in the phone. Like sometimes Terence and I, when we go to the restaurant and eat, or we go to a carinderia, she got her tablet, I got my phone.
But that's because we're working, actually.
Yeah.
And I often say that if people were looking on, they would think us a typical technologically captured, addicted couple, because we don't seem to be paying any attention to each other at all. Actually, we're not. We're doing our job.
Yeah, sometimes when you say Terence, okay, put your phone, I put your tablet, I'll put my phone, and we eat. Okay?
Yeah, not very often. Okay.
Yeah, but we did that. And in the morning, but it's in the morning, that's our, what do you call it, Han? That's our bonding time. Reading comment, deleting comment.
That's our bonding time. Now listen to what's being said there. That's our bonding time. She is reading the comments and I'm fielding the comments. So we are both on an electronic device. So the problem is very widespread. Go ahead, my dear.
Yeah, but in your case, sir, maybe your wife is in the phone, is always in the Facebook because she was been homesick. She miss her family in the Philippines. Maybe that's the reasons why she's always in the phone. As long as she's texting with with the family in the Philippines. But if it's another thing that she's doing, then that's a red flag. And
another thing that she's doing.
Yeah, like for example, chatting with another guy, right? But if she's chatting with her family, because the reasons why also people are in the phone, because they're missing their family, they're missing their friends, but there is a limit. There is a limit, because the life with her and you as a husband should be the priority. Because that's another cancer of the society now, that people is being always in the social media, Twitter, Instagram, Skype, always been in Facebook,
instead of talking to
instead
each other.
of talking, which is no good, because your life is with the person that you are with, that is physical contact or face-to-face contact. But there should be a limit. And to all marriage couple, you should bear in mind that social media could ruin the relationship, like what happened on our letter sender. Because
well, it hasn't completely ruined it yet. But ironically, the very thing that made them separate is now the thing that is keeping them joined, because now he says they enjoy very good communication, but it is in line with satisfying the addiction that he claims his wife has, because they're on Skype and they are texting. So in fact they've gone back to having a long distance relationship, but it's not very far apart.
Yeah, I think my advice, the advice not just to him but to the others, is just there should be a limit. There should be a boundaries where you use your social media, where you use your phone, your tablet, your laptop. Because it could ruin, as I said, it could ruin the relationship, right?
Well, that's an assessment of the thing generally, but it's not dealing with the problem that our friend Mike is talking about, is it?
Yeah, it's difficult.
Our friend Mike is talking about, he's noticed something. He's noticed that there is an improvement in their communication once they split up. Now, Mike, this is a fairly common thing psychologically between couples who split. They split up, and in America, my favorite place for finding the right slang description for any given situation, and that is that they may well be now enjoying a kind of buddy sex. In America, when couples separate, the pressure of trying to keep the marriage together is gone because they're separated. But whatever bond was there is still there, but they haven't resolved their problems. So they come together and they have what they regard as being safe sex, because if they haven't found other partners, then they're still bonded to each other, albeit that it's a fairly ragged agreement, right? So in a way, you're enjoying a cyber version of that. Your buddies, your friends again.
Yeah.
But in line with her addiction.
Yeah, and I think before it gonna totally damage the relationship, go to a marriage counselor, for guidance, for advice, professional advice on how to resolve on that addiction, or maybe just if you and your wife, your ex-wife, will be back together, try to have no phone in the house.
Why don't you go, once again, the Americans have a way of describing this, and when couples in America get so busy with their individual businesses, in the case of, say, a couple who met in law school and now have their own practices, and they seldom get to meet except over breakfast, coffee, and then perhaps in the evening, hopefully before they go to bed. But they end up that they have to have dates. So the husband has to ask his wife, or the wife has to ask, why don't we have a date this Saturday and go out together? So it may well be that you might have to ask your wife, if you are still interested, and evidently you are, you might have to ask her, hey, why don't we go out on a date without phones?
Yeah, without phones.
For that one night, let's go to a movie, which is, if you went to see a movie, of course, you wouldn't have the phones on anyway. So that would be a fairly easy gradient to go in, a first step on the ladder to success of recovering your marriage. So that might be something you do. And then finally, if you go to concerts where phones are banned, where you would not be answering the phone in the middle of a concert. So start trying to find things that you could do together where a phone is naturally out of place.
Yeah, that's good advice, so try to for one day, you just set a limit, if you go back together for one day, just in the morning, and then in the night, 1 hour in the night or 30 minutes, just to communicate to the family of the and friends, so that your wife can communicate to his family and friends, and then after that, no cell phone at all.
And as Beth said, assuming that the phone calls and the time that is on the cell phone is not quality time being spent on a long-distance relationship of which you are not part.
Yeah,
So there's something to discuss there. With
that's another problem. That's the biggest problem for now, to have that addicted on the social media. Because it's also like in the morning, we also want to know what's happening on other people's life, right? It's just like on our psychological mind, in our mind, that I want to look at on the phone on what they're posting. So that's another thing. That's another problem that we need to cut. To minimize, because you've been very interested in others' life, right? On others' posts, but you just didn't notice that your family is already been your relationship is already taking apart. So
yeah, you can. I always tell Beth, she hates me to say this to her, but if she says, can I do this, or should I do that, or I often wonder if it would be okay, and stuff like that, just normal checking in with your partner. And in those cases where I may not particularly agree or like it, I say, you can do anything you want. And it's true. Each partner can do whatever he or she wants, as long as you understand that there will be a price to pay, a consequence. So if you wanted to go out, for instance, if you were a guy that liked to go out and drink with the boys, and lots of people find that a bar is a place where they can relate most easily to say they're friends. They go out and they have a quiet drink and so on. You can do that, and you can do that, say, once a week, and your partner would agree to it. And then if you started doing it 2 or 3 times a week, or then every time after work you would go, eventually there will be a consequence. And the consequence usually is where you start to actually get distant to each other. And then, as this couple have now done, they've parted because being together was uncomfortable. Now, from what I read, and from the work of various counsellors that have written books, I read a lot of books on this. As you know, I'm a reader. And one of the things that the counsellor that I liked the work of said was, I like to work with couples before they stop caring. Now, that's a really important thing, that if you can work together before you reach that point where you say, well, it doesn't really matter, I don't care. When you find yourself saying, I don't care, you've reached a dangerous point that tells you you're going to have a consequence that is going to be hard to come up and confront. Honey?
Yeah, so if you got problem on that kind of situations, where your wife and you has getting part because of social media, because of always been in the phone, talk to her, talk to him, or talk to your husband, or talk to your wife, and say that, look, it seems that it leads into a big problem, because you've been far away. I never know you anymore, because you're just always be on your phone.
And that's before they separate.
Yeah.
And then after they separate, what happens then?
Yeah, after you separate, you just been looking back and says, why did I let it happen? Which comes of regrets.
Right, which begs the question,
Yeah.
is, since you have been separated and you're now Skyping and texting, what is happening to her? Because we're talking now to Mike, who is the man of the marriage, but we don't know what the feelings are of the lady.
Yeah.
And as Beth so rightly said at the beginning, there's a very good chance that there's some homesickness there, and being in a constant touch with one of her siblings, her mom. Filipinas are very close to their mom. Beth sees her mom every day, and she's down there. And Beth's sister, Bewley, calls her mother every day, and that's a fact of life. So the fact that your Filipina is on public media, social media every day, who is she on it to? And that might be a very crucial question to ask and get an honest answer for.
Yeah,
If you can feel that it's honest.
Yeah, and then maybe you could able to talk to the family of your wife, like, look, I want to reconcile a relationship, and once it reconcile, can you just have a specific time where she can able to communicate to you. You could tell to the family, because I wanted to reserve, and I wanted to nurture, and I wanted to recover the relationship that we got. And if she's always in the phone, then that's gonna be another trouble.
Yeah, as long as you don't assume
Yeah.
that she is on the phone to that family.
Yeah.
That's the point here.
So
I mean,
hope,
if she was willing to separate before she would stop using that phone, then it seems like she has already reached that point where she doesn't care. He's saying, maybe at some point in one heated argument which led to the separation, he said, if you don't stop using that phone all the time, then we may as well separate.
I think there's more deeper on that, not just...
It can't get any deeper than that, honey. It can't get any deeper than saying, if you don't stop doing that, I'm going to leave you. How can it get deeper than that?
Yeah, but Possible, maybe, because maybe it's already been that setup has already been long, it's not just happened 1 week or 1 month,
No,
that
that's
it's just
true.
it's been a year,
That's
maybe
true.
it's been long that the husband already feel that there's already been a distance between the wife, between him and the wife, so just to the newer, just to the new that other that have problem on that, before it's gonna be a long distance between you and your wives, try to resolve it before it's too late, and it's just a matter of understanding. It's just a matter of talking to each other, how we gonna set up this. I know that majority of the Filipina that is married abroad, you're always been messing your family here in the Philippines, your friends.
Yes.
So you need to explain to your husband. If your husband feel that there's already been neglections because you're prepared to be in the social media, so it's just a matter of talks, and at the same time, to the husband, it's just a matter of understanding. Just remember that your wife is just one there, especially if she has not a lot of friends that she able to talk to, and she's missing the family that she loves most, because as a Filipina, our family is the priority. We have a close family ties. So that's another aspects that you need to understand when you're married to a Filipina. So not just all about that. Oh, why is it you're always been in the phone? So try to understand that you came from work. Your Filipina is just in the home, and she's just been in the four corner of the house. So maybe that's having a social media, having always been in the phone, is one way to cap up and to the loneliness that she got. Okay.
Right. As we say, always a lot of assumptions there.
Yeah, a lot of assumption. But read the comments of our other of the viewers. Maybe you can get more specific
Even more assumptions.
ideas, more specific solutions on your problem. Okay, so again, thank you for sending your problem. I know that this problem was been raised because of the alcohol over cigarette over the wife, right?
Addictions.
Yeah, addictions of cigarette. So Sir Mike, hope you gonna reconcile with your wife. And again, it's just a matter of respect and understanding.
If you have trouble, Mike, in convincing your wife that she has an addiction rather than just a love of using something, then issue this as a challenge. And the fact is that if you can't give something up for, say, 2 weeks, that's an addiction.
Yeah.
You should be able to give something up for 2 weeks and not go insane. And a lot of people, for instance, if you were a heavy drinker or a heavy smoker, 2 weeks of giving that thing up would be hell, because it's an addiction. Well, it's not so easy to pinpoint being on the phone as an addiction, but as you have rightly said, you could consider that her use of the phone, to the excessive amount that she does use it, is akin to equal to, say, an addiction of heroin or tobacco or booze.
Yeah, so just go. It's a marriage counselor. Just go to speak.
If you can get her to do that,
Yeah.
that would be ideal, because
Yeah.